What's going on, everyone? Welcome! We are heading on an extremely difficult and far, far away galaxy we are going to. We are talking about every single Star Wars film leading up to Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. It's going to be a little bit hard to say that because I want to say the Skywalker, but whatever. With each episode coming up, I do have someone that I'm bringing on to talk about, and today's we're talking about the Phantom Menace. Got this beautiful little steelbook right here. We got Darth Maul's beautiful face on here. But this wouldn't be a review without my guest. And, well, my guest is Ryan O'Toole. Ryan, how you doing today?
Hi, Zach. How you doing? What's going on, guys? Ryan O'Toole here. I'm sure you guys know who I am. If not, that's fine. But anyway, thank you, Zach, for inviting me to your Star Wars series, man. And, yeah, I love Star Wars. I mean, it's a fact. It's one of my favorite franchises. And I was hoping that I would get my favorite film of all time, Empire Strikes Back. But anyway, I'm getting Phantom Menace, which is a very interesting Star Wars film, a very hated Star Wars film, and it's the first film in the prequel trilogy. But yeah, I have some opinions on this. Zach, thanks again, man. I can't wait to talk about this film with you.
No problem. I actually chose you this one specifically because it's Phantom Menace, and I like when you get angry at movies. And I didn't know if you'd be angry about this one, but this is the first one in the prequel series. I wanted to bring you in. Of course, guys, if you guys don't know who Ryan is, go check out his channel. He actually had me on his Road to Endgame as we talked about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That was a great discussion. But like I said, we have a fun discussion today talking about Phantom Menace. Ryan, what's your overall thoughts about Phantom Menace overall? And by the way, guys, spoilers. If you have never watched a Star Wars film before, there are spoilers in here, so be warned. But again, Ryan, what are some of your, what is your overall thoughts on the Phantom Menace?
We're talking about Star Wars people that haven't seen it. Yeah, Cody, don't watch this video. Anyway, so my thoughts on the Phantom Menace are, it's not a great film. I mean, obvious. It's definitely in the lower bottom two of my Star Wars ranking. This and Attack of the Clones, they're just not great movies, but it's not awful. I don't hate The Phantom Menace. There are some good things to love about it. After rewatching it again yesterday to prepare for this review, there are things I like about it, but overall it's a bore to get through for sure. But yeah, there are some great things about it. I mean, George Lucas directed it. George Lucas directed all three prequel films, and they're not great movies, but there are some cool things to love about it. So Phantom Menace, not great, but fun at times, I guess.
No, and I'm with you on that. I don't hate this film. In fact, I actually enjoy almost every single Star Wars film. Actually, that's a lie. I do enjoy every Star Wars film because Star Wars is a part of my childhood. It is a part of me, and it probably always will be. But this is a big part of me where I love the universe of Star Wars, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever you want to call it. And even though the fandom and the audience can be a little bit crazy at times when you mention certain other Star Wars films that we won't mention today, but the Phantom Menace, this was it wasn't the first Star Wars film I saw. I didn't see it in theaters, but I do remember the first time I did see it. It was a VHS. Yes, for you guys that don't know what a VHS is, it's a great idea that I wish they still had around, to be honest. But the Phantom Menace, my overall thoughts on it, especially after rewatching it, it's fun. I liked it. Yeah, there's some boring moments, and a lot of all the Senate stuff is really boring, and I hate Jar Jar Binks to death, but at the same time, it's still fun. There's still good aspects to it. There's still entertaining things to it, and in fact, this is very much a film for kids. If I were to show a kid below the age of 10 this, they would probably love the film.
They're with you, man. I mean, the way the film starts off, it tries to build you in to we're going to get a different Star Wars film compared to the original trilogy. But no, it opens right away with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, out of both of those characters, definitely Obi-Wan's my favorite. I thought Ewan McGregor's fantastic in the prequel trilogy. And Liam Neeson, he's fine, but the character of Qui-Gon's just not that interesting to me. And then the opening scene where they're on the Trade Federation ship they find out secrets that they're trying to get Padme Amidala to sign this peace treaty and all of that. And then it breaks out into this action sequence, which is straight out of the Lego Star Wars video game that I played as a kid a lot growing up. And overall, it's just a fine action sequence compared to the open of the original trilogy. And for me, yeah, once they introduced Jar Jar Binks, definitely a character I can't stand. Mr. Jar Jar Binks, no, go get God. The ability to speak doesn't make you intelligent. Now be gone. And and then we get Jar Jar throughout this whole entire film. He's just there to add in comedic humor that just felt weird and off to me as a child.
Yeah, see, when I was a kid, I actually did like Jar Jar Binks. And as I've grown up, the humor doesn't hit with me. But I am going with you. So, you mentioned Qui-Gon Jinn. I actually love Qui-Gon Jinn. I wish we would have gotten another film with him, and then he died in the second one. But the impact of what it does for Obi-Wan later down the road is a big piece of it. But, I mean, let's talk about our main pros. Our main pros, like, one of my big pros, again, is Qui-Gon Jinn. Ewan McGregor is fantastic as Obi-Wan. He's a great Obi-Wan. And my God, the guy deserves his own film. Like, the fact that there's not been a spin-off or anything confirmed officially yet is insane to me. I know Solo bombed, but I'm still dying for an Obi-Wan prequel. I think Ewan McGregor deserves it for the type of caliber level of an actor he is, and especially the way that he made this role his own. I mean, another big pro for this, Darth Maul. I mean, Darth Maul is one of the coolest characters ever, and even though in this film there isn't a lot to him personally, he really has literally zero speaking lines, but his action scenes are badass, and I love when he shows up. And if you guys have not watched Clone Wars or Star Wars Rebels yet, do go check those out, because it actually does further out Darth Maul's story a little bit more, and I love that they did that. No other small things. One of my favorite scenes I love in here is when Qui-Gon Jinn's trying to use the Jedi mind trick on Watto, and he keeps trying to do it, and Watto's like, "Are you some Jedi or something?" Like, I just love the dynamic there, and I even actually like Watto. I like a lot of the aliens. I like when we're on. It's Tatooine, right? This one's Tatooine. I get the desert planets mixed up. Yes, this is Tatooine. And I love when they're actually on the desert planet. And yeah, the pod racing, it's dated. I mean, a majority of the CGI in this film is dated. But you have to imagine, at the time, this was exceptionally amazing.
Watto's cool, I guess. And we some Jedi or something. But, everything on Tatooine was, it was average. Anakin, awful. Jake Lloyd, that kid from Jingle All the Way. Jake Lloyd was not good in this film. I mean, the kid is cute Anakin, but are you an angel? My name's Anakin Skywalker. But actually, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. My favorite part of Tatooine is Darth Maul's lightsaber fight with Qui-Gon. That's very cool. And Darth Maul is the best character in this film, in my personal opinion. I thought Ray Park's a fantastic Darth Maul, and he appears later on in Solo, has a cameo there. And the character is so cool that I want a Darth Maul solo film, because this character I want to learn so much more about. He was the best character in Phantom Menace, and we'll talk. My favorite scene in the film by far is the final lightsaber fight, by far.
We'll get to that in a second. And Ryan, like I said, if you have not watched Rebels or Clone Wars, do go check that out, especially if you love Darth Maul, because the arcs that he has in those are exceptionally amazing. And they're not just for kids. Like, I would actually go as far to say Star Wars Rebels is probably a darker show. And Clone Wars, they have darker moments than the Phantom Menace and pretty much all the prequel films combined, which is crazy to think in a kids show, but it works. But moving on forward, again, one of the other sequences that I actually do like, aside from Jar Jar being in it, is when they're actually underwater and they're sailing around and all the fish is going around. I've always been fascinated with that whole sequence. What are your thoughts on that one? Do you like that one?
Yeah, I like that scene. The visuals don't really date well, but it's such a cool scene with all these fish monsters underwater. And then Jar Jar's like, "Oh no, swim away!" And then,
there's a lot of fun to be had in Phantom Menace, I think. And yeah, there are boring moments to it, but if we're moving along with our pros, another thing we have not talked about is John Williams' score.
Yeah.
It is always great. And especially the one that we will talk about right now, that we've been hinting and we've been talking about, is the Dual Fates. One of the best scores in Star Wars. And I also say one of the best lightsaber fights in Star Wars. I don't know if that's kind of on your top 10 list or top 5 list.
Yeah, that's definitely top 5. Definitely top 5 for me. All the choreography feels realistic to me, and all the actors do a fantastic job. The stunt work, the way that they're fighting each other, Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber, I had that as a kid, and I think I was Darth Maul for Halloween, I'm not sure. But I love the way the visuals look in that action scene when they're freeze together in that portal ray and they're just looking at each other. They can't fight each other. And then they just go back to fighting. And then, of course, spoilers, Qui-Gon does die. So, yeah.
Sadly, I wish that he would have gotten more again, but the way that he dies is like the Ewan McGregor had such good emotions into his face when that sequence happened. And it's crazy to think, like, when you watch certain actors in here. I mean, Natalie Portman, I don't really give her crap for her role because she wasn't given the best lines. The kid actor, I actually think Anakin should have been a little bit older because I still think that relationship is a bit weird in the second one. But the only actor really out of all in this whole entire film that really rises above the material is, well, Ewan McGregor. The emotion that he brings to that, and then I just love when finally he runs in and he's fighting Darth Maul and he just slices him in half. Like, and what I used to always love the scene. I don't know why. I used to like rewind it on the VHS when he was just falling and you just see him. Oh, okay, yeah, he did snap him in half, like just perfectly. And it just really added to Star Wars again. That was like the darkest moment in this whole thing. But again, it progressed his character to becoming a Jedi Knight officially. He wasn't just a Padawan. He was an official Jedi Knight by the end of the film, and he does take on Anakin, which I love that he takes on Anakin as his mentor. And I really like that Yoda, like the whole Yoda thing and how Yoda's like telling him, you be careful, like we don't want to train someone there. And actually, out of all the visual effects, I would say Yoda's the one that does still hold up to today.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. Yoda does look good. He does look good. Obviously, Puppet Yoda's better, but if we're talking about my least favorite parts, is the Jedi Council does jack shit in this film. Samuel Jackson as Mace Windu, an awesome character, which we get to see more of him. But really, they just sit around, talk about business, political stuff, like, oh, you can't train Anakin, he's too old, just like in Empire Strikes Back. But,
Which, I want to state this again, I love the Council, it's just everything in it is so boring.
Yeah.
I actually want another Star Wars film taking place in the Clone Wars saga, because I want people to be, with a better writing, that scene would have been so much better. But a lot of those moments with the Senate, with the Jedi Council, it just bogs down the film. And it just, in the end of the day, really makes it kind of boring in a sense. And it kills it. Even as a kid, I remember I'm like, all of a sudden, then I wake back up. And again, I want more Clone Wars. I want more prequel era stories because I love the storyline and everything that happens, because this is when all the Jedis were still alive.
And those two guys, oh, my lord, this is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them. Oh, we must get Queen Amidala to sign the peace treaty. No, we will not sign the peace treaty. He's too young. He's too old.
Oh my god, I hate how a lot of the aliens talk in this film. And I mean, diving into even further cons, I mean, we've already mentioned Anakin and Annie! Annoying. I'm done. Just Jar Jar Binks, whatever. Jar Jar Binks, push him aside, whatever. He push him off a cliff. And, but the star battles, still fun. Flying around the ships, cool. I do hate, though, that Anakin is the one that destroys the ship. Like, seriously? And he just hits a button randomly. Like, come on now. Like, I've always hated that moment in this. And again, there are just multiple moments in the film that I just do not like. But I also have to remember that this film is more put towards kids. That is the truth. I don't know why Lucas attempted to put all out of the Senate and the stuff in there, because in the long run, there's no point in having it. But another big pro to this is Ian McDiarmid. I love the small stuff that he has in here. And, I mean, he is just one of the big, bright stars of Star Wars in general. He's a legacy character, a legacy actor in this whole franchise. And knowing that he's coming back for Rise of Skywalker makes me excited. So, I do want to pose this question to you, Ryan. What do you think any implications will come in from the prequel era, or just the Phantom Menace in general, for this new Star Wars Episode 9?
I don't think so. I think it will mostly go towards the originals, but Ian McDiarmid, I was totally surprised that hearing his laugh and all that. And I think Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor, he's definitely top 5 Star Wars villains. He's such a great character in the way they had him in the prequels. He's one of the best parts of the prequels. And as far as how they're gonna play on to the Emperor in Rise of Skywalker, it's gonna be very interesting. How are they gonna bring him back? Is he going to be a Force ghost? How are they going to use him? And I'm just curious to hear all that. I know JJ has plans for all that stuff, but as far as the prequels, they could. But if you were talking about the originals, that's the most important thing of how they're going to bring him into it. And I am curious to see what they do.
No, I'm with you on that. And actually, there's news that came out that J.J. Abrams consulted George Lucas a lot on the script for this one. So I'm curious to see how that ties in. I actually do have a theory about where Palpatine, how he's alive, if he is alive, what that happens to go. But you guys are going to have to figure that out on the next episode because it kind of ties more into Attack of the Clones, the worst Star Wars film of all time. So you guys are going to have to make sure to jump the next month over to there, guys. But that is our Phantom Menace review. Ryan, if you were to give this a grade out of an A through an F, what would you give Phantom Menace?
Did the Star Wars reviews leading up to Last Jedi, I initially gave it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. And I'm going to stick with that grade. I think that's a fair grade. 2.5 out of 5 stars. It does have great moments to it. Darth Maul, the action sequences are fun. But boring political stuff, Jar Jar awful, Anakin awful, but it's got fun parts to it. It's no Attack of the Clones, but yeah, it's definitely not one of the best.
Sure, man, I'm with you. I mean, I would probably give it around a C or a C+. There's still enjoyment to be had into this film. Still good moments to it, and there are still good aspects of it. It is a Star Wars film. Like, none of these films do not feel like a Star Wars film, and that's what I really like about these, is it does feel in continuity in the same era. I mean, my midichlorians are a little bit high as well, and I'm sure yours are too, because we are users of the Force. But yeah, so I'd probably give it a C or C+, and 2 out of 5 is pretty fair for this film. I think if you are someone who's never watched Star Wars before, this is not the one you should start with. I would actually say going and starting with maybe the sequel era is probably the better route to go, or even the original trilogy. But that's kind of where I'm going to end up jumping to this, guys. Thank you guys again so much for watching this video. If you guys are new here, consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and make sure to check out Synopsis on Films also down below. But before we get going further, Ryan, where can they find you at?
Thank you so much, man, for having me on your channel, as always. Talking Star Wars, MCU, whatever. I love talking movies with you, man. If you guys want to find my channel, I'm Ryan O'Toole. I do movie reviews just like Zach, ranking videos like Zach, Blu-ray videos, tons of movie stuff. And Zach did mention about the Endgame series. I did that series leading up to Endgame, talking MCU films in depth with my friends. So you can go check that series out on my channel. And Zach, thanks again, man. I can't wait.
Same here, man. Can't wait till our next collab. Again, guys, go check out Ryan if you haven't yet. He has a great, brilliant Rotten Tomatoes show, Rotten or Fresh. It's great. I've competed on there. I've kicked a lot of fucking ass, and no one knows, and no one's taking that fucking belt away from me because I'm gonna fuck him up this season. That's my saying. Thank you guys again so much for watching this video. Hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure to comment down below. Let's talk about Phantom Menace. Do you love it? Do you hate it? That's the best thing about this. So, until next time, stay classy.